Hola a todos, bienvenidos, soy Juani. Do you know when to use the Spanish subjunctive? Por ejemplo, if you wanted to say, when you're in Spain, are you going to try the paella? Would you say, cuando estás en España, vas a probar la paella? Or would you say, cuando estés en España, vas a probar la paella? Do you know which one to use, but more importantly, the reason why you'd use it? If not, don't worry, we'll go through that today. So I'm not going to address all the things that trigger the Spanish subjunctive mood in Spanish. However, what I will do is address probably one of the most difficult things for native English speakers to decipher when it comes to when to use the subjunctive and when not to use the subjunctive. Before we get started, everyone, just a quick side note. This video, of course, is aimed towards your more intermediate level students. Those of you who are looking to bridge the gap between that intermediate level of Spanish and that more advanced level. The reason for this is because when we talk about the Spanish subjunctive, we're really starting to take a big step forward into the language itself, especially grammatically. Now, with that being said, one thing that really confused me when I started learning the subjunctive is I noticed a lot of native speakers, when they use this word in particular, cuando, I noticed that sometimes they'll use it with the present indicative tense, but sometimes they'll use it with the subjunctive tense as well, the present subjunctive. So let me give you an example. When I go to Argentina, I like to visit my friends. Cuando voy a Argentina, me gusta visitar a mis amigos. Or, when I have kids, I will have to earn more. Cuando yo tenga hijos, tendré que ganar más. After hearing those two examples, do you know the reason why on one hand we have to use the present indicative and on the other hand we have to use the present subjunctive? Oftentimes what triggers the subjunctive in Spanish is when we're talking about future events, especially events that involve uncertainty as well. For example, if I wanted to say to you, when you come to Australia, we have to see the spiders, I would say, cuando vengas a Australia, tenemos que ver las arañas. So, cuando vengas a Australia, tenemos que ver las arañas. So again, you can see here in this particular example, I'm talking about a future event. When you come to Australia, you could be coming next week, you could be coming next year. It's uncertain, and that automatically, especially with the word cuando, triggers the subjunctive tense. Moving forward, the follow-up question to that would be, well, Hawani, when do we not use the Spanish subjunctive in this particular case? So keep in mind that we would not use the subjunctive if we're talking about things that are habitual or things that we do normally. For example, a lot of you know that I'm from New Zealand, and whenever I am in New Zealand, I typically eat a lot of food. Okay, so I could say in this case, cuando estoy en Nueva Zelanda, como demasiado. So cuando estoy en Nueva Zelanda, como demasiado. So you'll notice here I'm using the present indicative tense because I'm not talking about a one-off future event. I'm talking about one thing that I do habitually or normally whenever I go to New Zealand. Or another example, whenever I go to Spain, when I go to Spain, I typically speak a lot in Spanish. So in this scenario, I could say, cuando voy a España, hablo mucho en español. So cuando voy a España, hablo mucho en español. Again, I'm using the present indicative tense. The reason why is because I'm not talking about a future event. I'm just talking about something in general that I do whenever I go to Spain. Does that make sense? So if I asked you this question again, how would you say, when you are in Spain, are you going to try the paella? How would you say it? Yep, you'd say, cuando estés en España, vas a probar la paella. And why would you say that? The reason is because we're talking about a future event And as you know now, that triggers the subjunctive mood in Spanish. I hope you guys got a lot of value from this video. Don't forget, if you are getting value from these videos, I'll really appreciate it if you hit that like button and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And I'll see you in the next one. Hasta pronto.